Welcome back to Hockey Unplugged. I'm Carson and I'm here with Jack Shy, and we're being joined again by Chase Nelson. He was on the podcast not too long ago, I guess, but
yeah,
I'll let him kind of introduce himself here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
It's good to be back. It's nice to have Chase Nelly on again. The last episode we had you on, it did pretty well, so we're actually just using you for listens and views right now.
Oh, well, thank you.
This is actually, we've all been kind of wanting to do an episode like this for a while. The rookie race this year for the NHL is pretty stacked, and we were trying to figure out how do we make this episode? This is actually Chase's idea. So we have 3 tiers, basically the favorites to win the Calder and the dark horses, and then sort of the outside looking in, or maybe the rookie that you're cheering on, or a couple rookies you're cheering on. So we're just going to go through our lists here and have a good discussion. Go ahead, Chase.
I'll start us off here with my favorites. I had, obviously, Connor Bedard, Logan Cooley, and then Adam Fantilli. So it just Bedard, all the hype around him. He's obviously a generational talent. He'll be given the keys right away to be that first-line center. There's no pressure. Well, obviously there's media pressure on him, but the franchise, there's no pressure on him to lead him to the playoffs or anything. He'll just be given the keys. He can do whatever he wants. And he just has all the skill in the world. So he's definitely the top favorite. Then Logan Cooley, he's been showing off in preseason. He's been, his filthy hands, and he's also he's older than Bedard, obviously, and then also being drafted last year and having all the time at Michigan, he should be given a top 6 role, I think, and he could easily be a 60 to 80 point guy, I think, in the first year. And then
Fantilli, that'd be pretty good.
I know. It's a stacked rookie class. So, and then with Fantilli being drafted 3rd overall and having the time in World Juniors, and I don't know if it kind of depends. He's still a favorite whether he's going to be on the second or first line. But if he's on that first line with Laine and Gaudreau, that could be pretty nasty, and he could generate a lot of points there. So those were my favorites.
Yeah, I think pretty much same. I had obviously Bedard in there. He's going to be so good. The thing though, I wonder is if we'll get off to somewhat of a slow start. Just the preseason hasn't been the greatest to him. We saw he's kind of getting ragged on a bit. You see, I think everyone kind of wants to troll him a bit. So I think he's going to be tested a little bit to start, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's maybe the first couple months, October, November, he's kind of rattled. And the idea is this guy's already a boss, 18-year-old boss. But I think in December he'll probably get rolling.
He just hasn't been able to finish really. But all the skill and talent is there, and he seems to be putting in a lot of effort and hard work. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. I think there's not too much to say with Bedard. I think we probably all have him in our top there. Only thing I wonder about that he doesn't have that some of these other rookies have is elite line mates. You even said Fantilli's got Gaudreau, Laine. But Bedard's going to be playing with Lucas Reichel, who could be pretty nice in the future, but he's still pretty young. And then Taylor Hall is he's good, but hopefully, yeah, he's injured and he is a little bit older, but I still think he'll probably help Bedard decent amount, but he doesn't have those elite line mates that some of the other guys have.
Yeah, I obviously have Bedard in the first category here as well. I was kind of thinking similarly, he probably will have a slow start in my opinion. He's been good in the preseason.
Okay, and then I also had Cooley too. Same thing. I'm actually really intrigued to see how he plays. He doesn't have elite talent like Fantilli, kind of those veteran superstars like Gaudreau.
Yeah.
But he does have Gunther, who could be kind of nice. I don't know. And then Keller too. I don't know exactly who's gonna play with, but there's a lot of young talent that he also kind of has over Bedard, in my opinion.
The only question I think there is Schmaltz and Keller and like was it Hayton? Like that line was like so killer last year. And like although Coyotes might not be like a playoff
Guy's fat. Oh, I can't say that.
thing, but like I don't know if he's gonna fit right in there with Keller because just the recent chemistry. So they'll probably be starting on that second line with like maybe like Zucker, who they picked up in the season, who's like a solid 50, 60 point guy, and then Genther, who we don't know how he'll perform. So he definitely has the upside, and he's still like a big favorite, but there are some bit of question marks.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of like a gross duo. I feel like having a Gunther and Cooley, bro. Like Gunther's kind of like that like elite sniper, and then Cooley's kind of that like agile playmaker. But for the last person, I actually don't have Fantilli in this first tier. I have Luke Hughes.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So, bro, like,
actually surprises.
I think a big thing with like the rookie class this year is I think they're gonna glaze like the rookies that make the playoffs, because like he's gonna be on the Devils, who are on probably gonna be like top 5 in the league, and he's gonna get like top 4 minutes for sure. Like I don't really think the Devils have like that nice of a decor anymore. Like even last year wasn't like amazing, but
and they lost free agency.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they lost a lot, and he's gonna get like quite an elevated role. Maybe not PP1, because I think Dougie Hamilton will probably still run that power play, but he's gonna get like PP2, and in his like final, like I don't know how many games he played at the end of last year, but he was really good in it, I thought. And I honestly think he's probably gonna outperform a guy like Fantilli.
It's honestly a fair point. Like I was thinking of like Hughes for this list, but just like I don't know how much like a defenseman is gonna be able to, like a defenseman have to have a really good season.
That's fair.
He has to get honors. Like there's a ton of nice defensemen like Brock Faber and Juracek and Luke Hughes, who like all have like tremendous upside. I just don't think they're gonna get that much notice compared to like these star second line centers who got drafted top 30.
Yeah, that's honestly fair. Like I was kind of projecting like he's probably gonna have like maybe like if he could have like 45 to 50 points, that for sure put him in the voting.
I think so, honestly. I mean, he could also have like a Quinn Hughes type rookie season.
What was his rookie year like?
Well, I mean, like I remember like the race between like McCarr and Hughes for the Calder, and like they were both like just under a point per game, and like obviously Hughes plays a bit different than his brother, but still feel like could put up similar production and he's on a better team.
What do you think about that, Carson?
Yeah, I could honestly see him kind of in a position where he could have a chance at the Calder, honestly. I wasn't really thinking about that either. Yeah, I don't really know. I think you guys pretty much covered everything with that. Like,
wait, who are your like top 3 then? Your
top 3? I had Fantilli instead of Bedard, Fantilli, and Cooley.
So the same thing as Chase, pretty much.
Yeah.
My first dark horse pick is Luke Evangelista of the Predators, and so kind of my reasoning for this was like he already had like 20 games or so last year where he produced pretty well. I think he had 15 points in 24 games, and he's a bit older than the other rookies. He also had that AHL experience that other rookies might not have the benefit of getting, and he had like 45 points in like 50 games there.
In the AHL?
Games, yeah.
Okay.
So he has games under his belt. He already was scoring at a higher rate in the NHL last season than the AHL, and there's not a lot of pressure for like the Predators. Like I know they kind of had like a bit of a weird off season. Like they sold off some pieces like Duchesne, and also added like Ryan O'Reilly, but they're kind of just going to be like a bit mediocre, maybe not in the hunt a bit. So I also see not a lot of pressure there, and he could flourish really in a top 6 role because he will have some pretty good line mates. And like the only thing is he did struggle in the preseason, so not a lot of people are giving him that attention. He's under the radar a bit, but like he definitely has the upside, and because of that, he's older and has more experience than other people. Like I just think he has an edge in that area.
Yeah, it's honestly fair. I actually don't even have Evangelista on my list. I was thinking about it, but Is that the only guy you have in your dark horse?
Oh no, my other dark horse pick is Tyson Forster.
Okay.
The Philadelphia Flyers, and it's kind of like similar reasoning. Is he also had AHL and NHL experience last year? He did really good in the AHL, and then he had 7 points in 8 games last season for the Flyers, and like he could easily get like a top line role with the Flyers because they're not going to be in the playoff hunt at all. They're going to be near the bottom of the league, so he could honestly get a 1C role and play with like Konechny, who was a point per game last season. So he could just rack up points. He has like no pressure at all. And he's compared to other rookies, he also has a bigger body, He's like around 6'2", 190. Whereas like some rookies like Bedard, they're like smaller a bit, so they might get pushed around. But like being that bigger body and like you just might be able to control the game a bit better and like let it come to him. And I just think he could rack up a lot of points on that Flyers team.
Yeah, I actually do like the idea of that. Like you kind of said, like the Flyers could literally just be as running gun as possible if they want. It like won't even matter, bro. Like he could have like a minus like 30 and like rack up. I don't know like what exactly, like 70 points or something, and like he'd obviously like easily be in that like top 3 voting.
And he was a 2020 draft pick, so he's a bit older than the guys. Like I just think there's so much hype and pressure for these guys who like go right into the league out of the draft, like no AHL experience, and they're just like they're thrown right into the mix. Obviously, they're generational talents, and they should be favorites for that reason. But these other under the radar guys who just have that experience, like they might be able to outshine them a bit, or just rack up more production for their team.
Yeah, for sure. Just being able like kind of fly under the radar with like while Bedard's like getting like media thrown in his face. Like hasn't scored in 5 points. It's over for Bedard.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll read out my dark horse list then. So first I have Devin Levi. So Devin Levi, the only goalie I actually have on this list, I don't even know the last time my goalie won a Calder. Again, that's kind of why he's in the dark horses. I'm not too sure. Again, it's kind of uncertain too with like how much starts he's going to get. Like, is he like for sure the starter next year for the Sabres? I actually don't really know. I don't even think the Sabres really know exactly who their starter is going to be next year.
I think he be given the keys the starting role because like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was kind of that young goalie, but he did not do good last year. So I think he's going to be the starter to start the season.
Yeah, I think he's going to be given the like for sure like first chance. I didn't see how he does, but he was really good last year. Like in his final game, like he was over like I think like a 905 save percentage. I think he only played like 2 games or something, but he was really good. I think there's a lot of hype around him too. He has obviously like a pretty solid team in front of him as well. Like the Sabres, I think they're going to be in the playoff hunt all year. We'll see if they eventually make it, but he's going to be really exciting. I think he will have also a lot of media pressure on him, to be honest. Like a lot of people are talking about him, and I'm actually really excited to see how he does. So I have Levi there. And then this is actually where I have Fantilli. So it was kind of hard. It was like a toss-up for me between Luke Hughes and Fantilli. And I just decided, you know what? Hughes is like is he 2 years older or 1 year older? Oh, he's 2, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because he was drafted in 2020. Yeah, he was a 2021 draft. So he's 2 years older, and I think the age is just going to be a big part of it. And also Fantilli, like he's obviously going to be playing with like Gaudreau most likely in line A, but the Jackets are kind of like irrelevant. Like I feel like he might be overlooked a little bit. Also, just because he's like a bit younger too, I feel like Hughes, who's like 2 years older and going to be on a better team, will probably have a more noticeable rookie season than Fantilli.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Something I just wanted to add is just like, I feel like this year for the Calder, since it's so stacked, I think experience is a good part because I don't know about like other rookie years, but it seems like this one, for the most part, there's like a ton of crossover between drafts. Like there's rookies from 3 drafts ago, 2 drafts ago, and this draft. Like there's such a condensed race that like maybe the experience of like getting more games in will be the edge.
Yeah. And I also want to mention too, like, I'm not necessarily saying Luke Hughes is going to be like a better overall player like at the end of his career than Fantilli. Like he might be, but like this is just kind of like a rookie year, and I think Hughes is just like a bit more developed and mature.
I agree with that. And it's just for the Calder anyway. We're not projecting for future.
just adding on to what Chase said about kind of the experience thing, I think that could be a big like deciding factor for the Calder this year, kind of. Like everyone is obviously thinking, especially going into the season before the preseason, everyone was thinking Bedard for Calder, right? Like everyone is still thinking, I think, yeah, the most common favorites for the Calder this year are still guys that just got drafted, right? No one's really thinking about the guys that were drafted from 2020 till now.
Yeah. I think kind of agree. Like the hype's gonna be like falling off of them a little bit, and people just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And do you not think like opponents playing Bedard, like he has such a not great team around him that they'll be hyper focused on Bedard, like game planning around him since he's this generational talent. Whereas like I don't think in like for like my pick Tyson Forster, I don't think he's getting like highlighted by other teams as like the guy to shut down.
Yeah, for sure.
Bedard's going to be hyper focused by everyone, the media, other teams, coaches.
Yeah, it's gonna be like hard for him for sure. But if there's one guy that could like handle that, it's for sure him.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Carson, what's your dark horse list looking like?
I have Devin Levi as well.
Nice. Little Sabres glaze sparkled into the episode. Little Sabres glaze.
We're pretty high on the Sabres here.
I'm a big fan of how the Sabres are looking this year, and I just think he's going to be a huge piece for them, assuming he is starting, and I would like to see him starting. And then I have Zach Benson.
Nice.
Ooh, he could be. I'm kind of glazing the Sabres quite hard here, but I don't know. I was deciding whether to put him in the dark horse category or the last category here. But
yeah,
I don't know. I put him in just to see what you guys kind of think about that. Like, do you think he has a decent chance at the Calder? Do you think he's more of a guy that's just going to miss it? Or
I think it just depends on like what role he's going to be given. Like, is he going to be on like just like Buffalo is such a stacked forward core with so much young talent. Like, he's been obviously so great in the preseason. I think there's a chance he starts in the NHL instead of the AHL, but like that might be a limited role on the third line. But like he is a type of player that could play with like better players. Like he could get bumped up to the first line or second line, depending on how others play. And that could give him the boost. So I do like that you put him in that category because he definitely has the upside and like not many people are considering him.
Yeah.
That's
kind of what I was thinking. Like he's not being talked about for the Calder like barely at all, right? So I don't know. I just thought I'd put him in and create a bit of a controversy there, maybe.
I think a lot of people too are kind of just they were kind of expecting him to, like, obviously he's a top 5 talent, or maybe not top 5, but like for sure like top 6 talent in this draft. Like it's such a like steal for the Sabres that they even got him at 13th. But I feel like everyone kind of just expected him to go back down to Winnipeg for the WHL, kind of like what his teammate Savoy did last year. Like Savoy was drafted 9th overall in 2022, but he went back down to the ice and like ripped it up in the WHL. I think that's kind of what people were expecting for Benson. But because he's had such a crazy preseason, like I think he has like more goals than Bedard. I think he's tied in points with Bedard for like the 2023 draftees in the preseason so far. And because of that, people are now starting to talk about like he's probably going to get his 9-game, what do you call that, when like the rookies get to play 9 games before they go back down to the WHL. It's like it's like a little tryout, I guess. They get like a try of the
like
game, and it doesn't
last year.
Yeah, like it doesn't count to their ELC at all. Like it doesn't burn a year off their ELC. So I think that he's going to get that, especially too because Jack Quinn is injured. I could easily see Benson slotting in on that second line with like Cousins, and I don't know who would be on the right side of that, but I could see that. And also it kind of moves down a guy like Savoy too, because he's injured right now. So he's kind of getting like an even better chance. And who knows, if he like lights it up in those 9 games, maybe he'll just have to force the Sabres to make him a regular.
Yeah, exactly. And create that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, honestly.
For sure.
I would like to see him playing the whole season. I think he's ready for it, honestly. Like,
oh, for sure.
He's proven that in the preseason so far.
Yeah, it should be exciting to see sort of like what the Sabres do with him, because even like when Jack Quinn gets healthy too, like what do you do with like him then? Like,
Yeah.
Like so much depth.
yeah, they just have so much depth. Like it'll become sort of like a log jam, but I guess that's a good problem to have.
So I actually, for the unproven outside, I actually do have Devon Levi. You guys have
yeah.
first pick. My reason for that is like he obviously has the skills and he did look really good last year. And like I could for sure see him winning the Calder. But the reason I have unproven is just there's going to be a lot of pressure on like a rookie goalie who like the Buffaloes are going to be trying to make the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs in the past, like what, 10 to 12 years.
It's like longer than that, I think.
Yeah. There are height playoff expectations for the Sabres team. Like this is the best Sabres team they've had in this like decade. And so like, he's going to be the starter day one of the season. And so I think there is more pressure, especially because his backup is also a young goalie. And he can't really fall back like he did last year on like Craig Anderson, who was a veteran. He doesn't really have anybody to fall back on. So he kind of adds a lot of pressure. And just why I said unproven is with that pressure, he could either skyrocket and just go off with like a 915 save percentage and lead the Sabres to be a playoff team. And that's why I think he could win it. He also could like crumble under the pressure a bit. Like, I'm a big fan of him, and I don't want to say that, but he could like crumble a bit. And like there could be split time between the goalies and they could be on the outside of the playoffs again. And so there's just too many question marks, I think, around him, especially because like a goalie, it's just there's so much like leeway. You could have 9-6, like the difference between a 9 and 15 save percentage and a 908 is actually quite drastic. And then my other unproven was Matthew Coronado of the Flames.
Oh, let's go.
And the reason I think that is because like obviously he drawed more attention to the media after this preseason outing where he had like 7 points and 5 goals. And so like he's been getting a lot more attention. And so I think he could be like a Calder contender, but then also he's like, it's unproven because the preseason, like it's still only the preseason. Like we don't know how much that's going to translate. The Flames are also kind of like a question mark team. Like they just flip flop every single year. So they could be as high as like top 3 in the Pacific maybe, or they could be as low as bottom 3 in the Pacific. And the role for Coronado is like the Flames don't really have like an elite line. They kind of just have like 3 really balanced lines. And so with that, it's kind of going to be like balanced playing time. So I don't know if he's going to have that elevated role as someone like Forster on the Flyers might have to like generate all that points. And so there's just, yet again, there's like some question marks on him and like how he'll perform. He definitely has the upside, especially with goal scoring. He could be he could be a spark plug for the Flames and honestly be their top goal scorer.
Yeah. I think the only thing he's going to get like a really elevated role in the Flames, especially I think Kovic honestly already like lost his spot there. Like he's kind of like a third liner all of a sudden on the Flames, and people let him pencil in as a first line right winger. And I think if Monge maybe doesn't do so well there, I could easily see them being like, screw, let's put Coronado and Huberdeau together and see what they can create.
The only reason for that was because in the preseason he's been playing on that third line with like Backlund and Sharangovich, and I don't think that Husk is going to be as like rattled maybe as last season with the line changes. Like it seemed like every 2 weeks there was a new right winger on that first line for the Flames. Like they were drastically trying to find a
Lucic, Milan Lucic.
They were drastically kind of find like top 6 winger like Lucic. Yeah, I don't know if us is gonna be as like rattled as that and like be drastically making changes. So
yeah, I agree with that.
That's why I just have unproven, because there's a lot of people like Hughes where I think they are more like favorites than unproven. And so I kind of go for the guys who I am high on and I think will be good. Just have a lot of question marks and they're like, there's just too many things that may have to go right for them to overlap the competition or over jump competition and win the Calder.
Are you talking about Luke Hughes there?
No, I was talking about like why my reasoning for like why I didn't pick Luke Hughes.
Oh, okay.
I kind of see them as a favorite on the other guys I picked because they had more question marks.
Okay. Well, my outside looking in is we've already heard like these guys' names in these lists, but I also have Coronado here. So I'm like, Coronado's like, he's the leading scorer for rookies in the preseason. Like, he's been so good. He's honestly probably been the best player in the preseason for the Flames. And like Chase said, I mean, who knows if this will like carry on to the regular season. But I think he's just such a hard worker too. Like, kind of reminds me a bit of like, I'm not saying he's like Bedard, but like Bedard has like such a good work ethic and he goes crazy in the gym. Like, I think Coronado's pretty much the same. Like, he's like such a hard worker. And I think he's going to get like, I think he could eventually get top 6 minutes. I honestly hope at some point he gets to play with Huberdeau and Lindholm. If that stays a top line, I just like to see sort of how that works. And he's going to get power play time too. I mean, he's not going to get first power play, I don't think, but right now he is on the second power play, which, may I mention, it looks way better than the first power play against the Canucks last night. So I think he's going to be exciting, but I just think because of some of the other guys, he's going to be overlooked a bit. And I don't know if he's really going to like be able to put up like, I don't think he's going to put up like 60 plus points, which I think you're going to need to have this year to win the Calder. I think he's going to be a more around like a 45 guy, like maybe like 20 goals and like 45 points.
I think last year he would have been like a top contender.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I don't see him putting up the goals or the points he needs to overlap some of these other guys.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, kind of unfortunate he's in like such a stacked class, but he's going to be exciting for Flames fans for sure. And then I had, I had Zach Benson here too. We talked about him, so I won't go over him too much. But I have Zach Benson / Massive Boy. Because I think because I don't think both of them are going to be in the lineup this year. I think it's one of the other. And I think whichever one it is going to get top 9 minutes for sure, second power play. And I just think they'll overall be good. I kind of already like mentioned this, so I'm not going to go over it again.
I mean, I kind of agree with that. Like, I don't think they're going to run out both because either I think Benson could get loaned to the WHL or the Walk could get loaned to the AHL. So,
yeah, I'm not too sure like what's happening with Savoy either. Like, I know he's injured right now, so I think out for like a few months. So I don't know like after that what their plan is with him. Like, could they send him back down to Winnipeg?
No, I don't know.
So. Yeah.
So I had Coronado as well. I won't really go over him since you guys kind of covered everything, but
yeah.
And then I was a little stuck here with who else I wanted. So I have Leo Carlson. I'm unsure about that one.
Yeah.
And then I put one more just because I just really couldn't decide. I have Matthew Nyes.
Oh my favorite.
I know you guys aren't huge fans of Nyes. It's likely he'll be playing on that top line with Matthews and Marner, right?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that.
That is a good point. We overlooked.
I don't know. Last year he played well. I think that's why he's glazed so hard is because he was on that top line.
And he scored like one like little greasy playoff goal.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, Matty Nyes.
But yeah.
But Carson does have a fair point about like,
oh yeah. No, it's I can agree with it for sure.
Because they're kind of talking about like other guys who might benefit from line mates. So I think it wouldn't be fair to like acknowledge Nyes and his line mates. Because there is a chance that he could just like rack up those points. And if he does play on that power play with them, like who knows? He could stumble his way into like maybe a point per game.
Yeah.
But yet again, it's just such a stacked class. It's hard to.
I wouldn't be like surprised at all if
one guy.
For sure. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised at all though if when it's all said and done, he finishes like top 5 in Calder voting just because of the line mates he has. Like he probably would have the best line mates out of any rookie.
It's like individually, he would not be in there for me. Like if he was in like a Bedard position where he's on a team that doesn't have anyone else, like no, he's just not in there at all.
No, for sure.
But just because he's on Toronto has so many like offensive. Like their second line is good, their first line is good. Like anywhere he is placed, it's like line he's on, he's gonna have teammates that back him up. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, guys. Well, we kind of left out a few guys like Carlson, Shane Wright. Even we didn't talk about him, like Jiricek. Those are some other notable guys I just wanted to like mention that I could see being in the Calder race. But I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to say. I just want to ask you guys, one last question. Beside Bedard, like who do you think is gonna win the Calder? Like who's your Calder prediction if you can't choose Bedard?
I think honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Adam Fantilli. I think he's my pick because I think he's just, like I said with Forster, is he is a bigger body, so he might be able to like control the game a bit better. And because of his situation, like there's not going to be pressure on Columbus like some other teams, and he might be given that opportunity to play with Goudreau and Laine. And when you're in opposition, you're probably going to be pinpointing, okay, we need to stop Goudreau and his playmaking. Oh, we need to shut down Laine's, like we can't get Laine space to create that shot. So I feel like Fantilli might sneak his way in there. And honestly, he does have like that two-way side of him that a lot of the other candidates don't have. So I feel like last year, like Beniers being that two-way guy, he might be able to sneak up and get like, maybe like, but some people might have more points than him, but if he has like 75 points and elite two-way, I honestly think he's going to be the guy to win it.
Yeah, I actually was thinking the same, like kind of a similar, like could be like a Beniers-esque season for him, like maybe not like crazy offensive, like even like 60 points would be good, but you pretty much covered everything. I think it's going to be Fantilli, if not Bedard.
Yeah, I think there's really no other like safe choice. That kind of has to be Fantilli. Like I would say Cooley could be up there.
Yeah, that's another one I thought about.
Yeah, I think Fantilli's just
that he could score 90 and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, literally.
But I just think Cooley is another guy that doesn't have the teammates he needs to back him up. Like he has Gunther, right? And that's going to be,
I think it would be a different question if he was going to play on that first line, but I think he'll get that just because of the camp last year.
Yeah, he just like, he has like talent. It's just like also young talent. Okay, well, I think that wraps it up. You guys got anything else to say?
Oh, it should be good.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Great to be back. Thanks for coming on more episodes in the future. Make sure to tune on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you can get podcasts, and interact with all of our social media posts because it helps us grow the podcast quite a bit. And thanks for listening, guys. Take care.